Welcome to today's live demonstration of the Dream Composer, which is a 3D visualization software from the company KURZ. And yeah, a little bit to my person. My name is Konstantin Prusak. I'm the Digital Innovation Manager for products such as the Dream Composer. So today we will look at the software, dive a little deeper into what it can do, and basically also a little bit of a backstory why this was developed. It was kind of in the way of having a design of a packaging, for example, and then creating a 3D physical mockup. So we thought there is something in between. So can we help the designers to create their designs or visualize their designs with different kinds of embellishments, with embossings and such, and not create a physical mockup? So this was basically the idea, to have a quick prototyping tool to already see where it is going, and also give a little bit of an idea what we can see and what we can do with it. And that kind of has also a sustainability aspect to it, if there's not like everything needs to be a physical mockup. But yeah, so enough of me rambling what it is. Let's jump into it and already take a look inside of the software. So as you can see here on my screen, this is a web-based application. So everybody has the possibility to use any computer or even tablet to just log into the software and try it out. So basically, you just go to dreamcomposer.de, and then you're presented with this landing page here where you can either scroll through or press here the login button. When you press the login button, you're presented with that area where you put in your login credentials. Mine are already put in here, and I'm just going to press here login. Like I said, you can use that on basically every computer or Mac or whatever you would like to use it, and there's no limitation. So you do not have to have it stationary somewhere, which is kind of good when you're traveling, or there's no limitations also on what you want to use. Of course, a little bit of graphics power needs to be there because it's a graphic heavy program, but most of the PCs today can handle that very well. So as you can already see, we're presented here with a basic box, which already has some metallization on it, and can give us an idea how that reflection looks like, and also the embellishment here. So for us now, of course, we want to also see our own designs, our own ideas brought into life, basically, and we can do that easily by just uploading a print-ready PDF. And we do that by going here to the left-hand side, which is our projects list. Of course, there's nothing in it yet, but we can easily do that by clicking here, upload, and then we see a pop-up which asks us to either drag and drop a PDF file into it, or we can just click it, and then this this window opens up where we have all our designs basically. For now, I want to just look at the KURZ Champagne PDF, and we will have a look here at the viewer first, how that basically looks. So in this case, this is a unfolded package. So it's a champagne packaging which is unfolded and doesn't really give us a 3D perspective. And this is also the idea, not like when you design that in Adobe Illustrator, for example, you do not have that 3D perspective. And as you can see, there's different kinds of elements in here. We have the pink or reddish line, which goes around it, is basically our cut line, which cuts out the carton here. And then you can already also see the blue lines, which are the folding lines where this carton is being folded to be a box later on. And when we click also on the layer tab here, we can see there are different kinds of layers in here. And as I said, one of them is called folding. So when we deselect it, we can see in this layer, there's the folding lines in it, as well as the cut line around the elements here. Or there are different kinds of foils. Yeah, so you can see there's just the text in foil 1, which has the name Champagne in it and a little bit of the logo as well. The print is all that colorful background, or foil 2 is the gray background. And the reason for that is we need those layers to then put embellishment on it. So we can use every different kind of layer to put different kinds of embellishments on it. And yeah, let's just try it out and see what happens basically. Let's close this here and we'll just upload the KURZ Champagne. And as you can see, this is uploaded. It will just take the regular file name here. You can change it to something else as well. You can take that out and yeah, give it a different kind of name. So as you can see, there's also the file size, which is only roughly 5 megabytes big, but there's not a great limitation in terms of where is the highest limit. I've uploaded files up to 150 megabytes. It is just, of course, it will take a little longer because this is a web-based application. It needs to be uploaded. It's also dependent on your internet connection here as well. But when we press create, basically what happens, this file is being uploaded, and you can already see down here at the green text, it said upload complete. So the file was not too big and it was able to upload this file. And what happens next is basically we interpret all those layers and all the information, what is in the PDF, and use that for our software. So there's this folding layer inside. So all the cut lines around it and the folding lines are interpreted and then also put into the software. So this takes sometimes a little longer, sometimes it's a little bit quicker. But as you can see, after it's being loaded, you are presented with the cut out file of this champagne box here. Of course, this is not folded yet because the software doesn't know which angle it's supposed to be folding it to, as well as folding it in a specific kind of angle. So we need to tell the software this. And we can easily do that by just going here to that area or this button here, which says configure folds. And when we click on it, we can see, I zoom a little bit, I'll zoom a little bit inward. There are those dashed lines here. And these dashed lines are those blue lines we have seen before in when we were looking at the viewer. So these are the folding lines, which we can just click on it. And you can see down there, there's this part angles of selection or angles for selection. And we can easily just take the slider and slide it to a specific angle of our liking, and we can see this is folded in 3D space. Now, this is already going towards the direction of a 3D box where we want to see that. And yeah, of course, you do not need to take every or click every fold separately. You could either just click one and then press the shift key on your keyboard and click the other one as well. So you have selected 2 or 3, and you could easily just select multiple ones if you know these are all the same on the same angle here. Of course, this is a box, and I know most of the folds in this box are a 90-degree fold, so I'm a little bit lazy. I will just select all of them and then I fold it together to make it a little bit easier for us. You can see here on the right-hand side, there are different kinds of letters. So every fold has a letter of the alphabet, And if there are more, of course, then it would restart with AA and so on and so forth. But you could either select those check marks here to select the folds, or if you know this is a 90-degree box and you do not want to take too much time folding it, then you could just easily select all edges. And when you press all edges, all folds are selected, and you can go down here to the angles of selection area and just go to 90 degrees. And as you can see, the box is folded. It looks pretty okay. It is not perfect because up here is that little lip, which is supposed to be inside the carton. It just usually goes around the bottleneck, but so it's a little longer. So it would need a couple of more extra folds. For me today, I will just make my life a little bit easier, and I will just completely fold it inwards. And so this is gone as well. But there's also an interesting part here in the back. Maybe you can see it when I move it. It's flickering here. There is this, this kind of lash where it's flickering, and it seems to be like an error. But this is also something that is very common when you use 3D technique. There's two areas which overlap each other, and since we have something, since we have had folds which were folded on a 90-degree angle, they kind of try to lay into each other, which is physically, of course, not possible. So one fold would need to be maybe 89.9 degrees, and the other one would be 90.1 degrees or something like that. So it would be laying on top of each other. And we try to simulate that. We'll just go here and click the fold here. And as you can see, I'll fold it outwards a little bit. You can see this is a glue lash where it would be glued together. So these kind of lay on top of each other or are inside of each other. And this kind of makes that artifact. But we'll make our lives a little bit easier when we just, move it inwards a little bit, maybe 92 degrees or so. We could just either press +1 or just fold it inwards a couple of degrees. And then we're basically presented with a box that already looks pretty good in 3D, and it's fairly easy. It doesn't have any embellishment on it. But of course, we can change that. And we do that with going back here to that magic wand. We can see the box here all in its height and without any folding lines. So this is how it would look like, And I think that already gives a pretty good idea how that box would look like in 3D, and that in a very easy step, just by uploading a PDF and folding it together in a couple of minutes. So we can already get a pretty good idea, even without embellishment on it, how a 3D model looks like. Of course, a box is usually a little bit easier than something else, but I think that kind of brings the point across. So, of course, if it weren't for KURZ, we want to see embellishment here as well, and want to put different kinds of metallizations on these layers here. Like I said before, we have different kinds of layers like foil 2 print, foil 1. These layers are now important because these are the layers we want to embellish. So when we hover over this icon here, we can already see the background layer we have seen before when we saw it in the viewer. You can either see that here on the left side of your screen where it's just grayed out, or the full and open view on the right side when you hover over it. So the reason why we named that foil 2 is exactly for that. So it doesn't matter what you name that layer. You can either name it the name you think is best, so you do not need to specify something specifically, or you just hover over it and you see already what's in that layer. As well as here with print, you can see everything what's in the print layer, as well as in foil 1. So now we want to embellish here a little bit the background. We want to put a little bit of metallization on it here, and we do that by just going down here to that tab material. And as you can see, there is a material catalog where we can just scroll through. There's different kinds of metallized materials that we can put on, as well as when we scroll a little bit further, opaque colors, and then varnishes, as well as lumafine, which are semi-transparent foils, as well as a couple of light lines here as well, which are like the holographic ones that we see here. So to make it simple, we'll just go with the metallized for now, but we can play around a little bit later as well. I will just go with a regular gold here, for example. And we can see this is how the carton would look like, or the box would look like when we put a gold transfer product on it. Yeah, and I think that is something really cool and unique to easily switch around and try out. You can easily just click and go for blue, for example, and then you would have a blue color, or yeah, scroll even further, take red, for example, and you can play around and take your creativity into perspective and just try yourself out, and yeah, be creative at that point of putting different kinds of materials on those products. I'll just jump back to gold, or different kind of gold shades here, for a specific reason, which I will show you in a second. When we want to embellish the letters here as well, these are not in this layer, so we would need to go back to the other layers as well, and we do that by going back to layer list. And we can see down here is foil 1, so we've seen that when we hover over it, okay, these are the letters that I want to embellish. And it's the same procedure. We would just go to material here and easily have that that material list open, where we can just select something that is, yeah, that pursues our liking. So we'll just go with the silver here, for example. So the reason why I took silver and gold, you can see it kind of is like it's a little bit mixed together. It doesn't really stand out. It doesn't really give a great feeling in just putting gold and silver right next to each other. And the reason why I did that is I want to show you that we can, of course, take it a step further. So we want to show you how that would look like with different kinds of embossings to it. So, and we can do that by going to that tab down here, embossing. And this is, of course, also in every layer, there's a different embossing step. So you can, in every layer, you have the possibility to emboss that layer. You can just click in here, and there's different kinds of embossing types. So we have the roof narrow, roof wide, and as well as debossings down here. So you could easily just try yourself out and try something out that maybe suits you. So we'll just click one, and usually it takes a couple of seconds to then load. And we can then see that here on that material. Maybe that is a little strong here with that embossing, but you can already see, even so the material hasn't changed, only with the embossing it kind of stands out, and it is way better to like visualize and see how that would look like with embossing as well. So you could easily put silver and gold next to each other when you have that embossing here. So that is kind of the idea why I wanted to put this here. But yeah, maybe that looks a little strong, so we can take that down here with that level slider, as you can see down here, and it would take the embossing down a little bit and make it more realistic. Yeah, or either take a different embossing style here, emboss roof around and wide, which looks a little different, where we can take that down here as well, and gives it a feeling of a embossed carton. Yeah, and I think that looks pretty unique and cool, and you can just yeah, try yourself out. Go with the deboss as well. Look, okay, how would that look like with the deboss? And we can easily see, okay, that's a deboss. Okay, that looks pretty cool. There's one more thing here, which is called emboss by texture. Maybe you've already seen it. This is basically something where we would look at the grayscale of that layer. So I'll just deselect this here and the material as well, so I make myself a little bit clearer. As you can see here in the letter M, there is a white contour and a gray kind of filling here. So we would look at those grayscales within a layer to understand the height, or try to give it a height. So everything which is completely white is embossed the highest, and everything what's black is at the level of the substrate. So basically here the gray area is embossed a little bit, and then the white is embossed on top of each other. So we can easily just try to do the emboss by texture. I'll just put the material here on again, and then go to embossing, emboss by texture. And as we can see, what we have expected, the contour is higher embossed than the inner filling here. And this gives a pretty cool effect as well. So you can play around with this and have different kinds of effects with the emboss by texture, and you can play around with the grayscale area to just, yeah, get different kinds of effects here. Of course, this is not it. There's more types of embossings. Maybe you've already seen it. It's called micro nano embossing. This is from our daughter company H+M. They produce all the embossing dies and also do the micro nano embossing. And I'll demonstrate that here a little bit here on the micro nano embossing on the foil 2, which is the background, because it makes it a little bit more, you can see it a little bit better. Let's say it like that. So when you click on here, there is a catalog of different kinds of structures. I think there are roughly 130 structures currently in here, and we usually, we work on getting new materials in every, frequently to, not stand still, because there is definitely not all of them in here, but there's always constant development on that software here as well. So in this case, I do really, I think here maybe the bubbles really kind of give a pretty good idea, since it's champagne, and you can see how these look like on that box here, and kind of give the feeling of different kinds of micro nano embossings. So you could easily change that around. You could either go with a kind of design like this, or you could have like something like this, and you can easily switch them out and try around what suits your design, and easily play with this. You of course can also rotate that and also bring that to a specific area. Let me take maybe an example that makes more sense. When you want to rotate this, for example, these circles here, you think, okay, that circle here doesn't make sense for me. You could either rotate that to a specific area with the sliders down here, give it a specific offset to then put that on the X and Y axis to a specific point where you think this suits you best or better, to give it a better impression here as well. But yeah, so this is the idea what you can do with boxes, and also embellishment on the boxes here as well. I now want to go a little bit back on this and give you also the perception of what is underneath, so the substrate. So when we go back here to our layer list, we can already see the tab substrates. And there's a couple of substrates in here that you can use. And when we zoom a little bit inward, I hope you can see that on your screen and the compression of the video is not too bad. But you could see a different kind of structure of that substrate here. So if we choose something like the antique, façon antique, you can see the basically the structure of the substrate changes here as well on the material, as well as if we have the fibers look here as well. So there are different kinds of substrates in here, which you can choose from and also project that on your material as well. So that gives, I think, a pretty good idea in terms of what you can do with it. I now want to move a little bit back or outside of the focus of the object itself, or the basically the carton here. I want to show you what you can do around it, like what you can do with the environment that we can see here. Yeah, so the idea is that we have here different kinds of lighting situations. This one is called duty-free shop, which you can see here in the blurred backgrounds. There's different kinds of bottles here as well, and shelves, and everything that is basically light here in the background is also reflected here on our materials. And you can change those environments. We call them skyboxes. And you can easily do that by going down here to the eye icon. And then this settings menu opens up, where you can just easily go down here to that area skybox and select a different kind of lighting environment. So we do have a liquor store, for example, which is more a dim kind of lighting. When we change it, you can already see it. It's more dim, it's more warm. It doesn't reflect here too well, maybe here. So that you can change around, and you can also go to drugstore, which is way more bright and the lights are coming right from top. So there's different kinds of plays you can do here, and also with the skyboxes you can just knock yourself out with the lighting situation. You can also get rid of the background here as well if you only want to see the lighting and also just want to see it on the packaging because you think, okay, that background is a little bit disturbing maybe for my eyes. You can just get rid of this by easily taking off this visibility slider here, and then you would be presented with a very clean background here as well. You do still have that grid down here, but you could also get rid of this as well by just deselecting this point here as well. And then you would have still the reflections and everything in the lighting situation stays the same, but you can change the background color here as well. So you could change it to a specific color here in that color palette. Just click on it and go there, or punch in hex values, whatever you'd like. You can just easily select a different kind of color and a different kind of background color that suits you best. Maybe you've seen it down here. There is the area render quality, which kind of gives you the option dependent on your hardware. When you think, okay, my computer is not too graphics heavy, I cannot do like the things I want to do. And when you want to maybe design and want it to be more quick, then you can take that down here as well. You could go down to low, and you can see that it decreases the quality significantly. But you could easily just change something also on a computer which is not maybe too graphics heavy, and then pull it up again when you want to view it maybe. Yeah, so you can easily just take that down, and when we pull that up here again, the render quality rises again. Oop, here we go. So maybe let's let's have a look at also something that we really like and really enjoy as a feature, is the possibility to share this project with somebody else, maybe a client, maybe somebody in your team. Sometimes it's just easily you do a screenshot, but of course you could still do that. You could easily just create a screenshot, a 4K screenshot, by clicking down here at the camera icon. Then a 4K screenshot is created of this project that you have in here. But we of course really enjoy when you have that dynamically, so you could have a share link of something and then view it. So we do have that possibility down here to press that share icon and give people the opportunity to just share their project via that link. So this is an individual link that you can either copy, or if you're in a meeting, you can scan that QR code. So if you're up for it, you can just scan it right now with your phone if you wanted to. I'll give you a couple seconds. If not, I will just put it on the screen so we know how that looks like with that with the link when we open it on a different tab. I'll just simulate that here as well. All right, so we can just use that link, open a new tab. I'll just paste that in here, and as you can see, we have that same loading screen kind of, and we are presented with that box, and you could send that link to anybody, it doesn't matter. They are not able to change something here on the materials. It's just for them to view, as well as give the possibilities to just, yeah, click it around and look at it, zoom in, get an understanding how that box looks like. And I think that is very valuable, and it makes a lot of sense to just easily, yeah, share something and then also discuss if you want to change something, because you can easily do that here as well. I will leave that link open, and I will just go back to that design area where I can change things. I'll go back to my layer list, and maybe I'm on the phone with somebody who says, hey, I don't like that gold color and I don't like the embossing. Can we take that off? The micro nano embossing. And I was like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can just take that off and change the color to, let's say, go with blue again. Yeah. And when we do that, we can just go back here, and it takes a couple of seconds, and it usually will change here on that monitor or the viewer link as well. So the person that you've been on the phone with now sees the results in a second, which is very unique, in my opinion, also a very cool thing. I'll just close this, and we will take a look into a different kind of project, because now we have looked at all the boxes that you can do and all that stuff with the cartons. But of course, there's something also I would like to show you. Something we have is labels, and putting labels on bottles as well. So how we would open up a new project is like something is the same as we did before. We would just need to open our projects list. We can easily open that here and have that on the right hand side. We can now see that we have our name, Champagne Webinar, in here, which is now our first project. And when we press upload, then we can see the same window we had seen before. We can just click on it, and then we press this one here. I have a label here, which is 3 megabytes big. I will leave the name, and we just press create. Same thing as before. This label is being analyzed, and we look at all the cut line around the label, as well as the different kinds of layers that are inside of this PDF. Of course, this doesn't maybe have a folding line because it's a label. It will be wrapped around a bottle, but we will see that in a second how it looks. It usually takes a couple of seconds to load and understand everything what is inside this label, and then we can just play around with it. So as long as you can see this loading bars here and the loading check marks here, which are usually do the rendering part. So the most of the rendering or the heavy lifting of the rendering is done from our part, and it's only the computer who needs to do the visualizing it and putting it on the screen. But as you can see, this is a wine bottle label, which is not is something that doesn't have any embellishment on it yet, but we can still do that. And you can see here on the right hand side, there's different kinds of layers, and let's just have a look, and we will just go here, background color orange, and I will scroll down a little bit to the area of Lumatheme, because I do like the Lumathemes because they kind of present something that is very interesting. As you can see here, it's a flat label and it doesn't really tell a lot of story, but we do have like those semi-transparent materials. You can print something behind it and then put the material up above on top of it, and it gives a different kind of perspective. So when we press that here, there is something here in the print background as well. So I don't know, maybe go with a bluish color, and you can see that already gives a pretty cool idea how that would look like with the background here as well. So that lets the print go through. So we can go and just go to the logo here as well, give it a different kind of material. I don't know, maybe this one here, and also give it a embossing, for example. You can just easily go through here as well, so we can see it a little bit better. And it already gives a pretty good idea how that label could look like, how the reflection is, and I think that is pretty neat. Of course, like I said, we want to also see how that label would look like on a bottle or on a different kind of set, and we can definitely do that by easily going down here to those this icon with the shapes down here, and when we press it, there's different kinds of shapes we do have in here that we can play around with. So since this is a wine bottle label, we can go down here to our standard wine bottle, and this usually takes also a couple seconds to load this wine bottle because it's a standard wine bottle, and you will see there is this label so the area where it's supposed to go is white. So that means we would need to place that label on either a label front or a label back. You can see here, this is the label area where we can put it. And you can also see that down here is a box which is blinking. And it tells us, please click me, you need more information, or I need more information. And we can just say it wants us to wait a little bit. But as you can see, that area here in the back asks us, we have a front and the back label here. You can see already the front and the back label, which is not placed yet. So we will need to click that area here for label front. We want this as the label front. And for the label back, since we do not have a label back here, we can just deselect it by clicking that eye icon here. But what is interesting, of course, you could put a back label on it here as well. The important thing is you would need to do that within the, let's say, Adobe Illustrator file. You would need to have that on the same page or on the same artboard, have that here next to it, and then you could just easily select that here as well. But when we look at it, we can already see how that label would be put on that area. And we can also place that label here on that area to our liking, where it fits better. So we can do that by going down or going here on the right hand corner of label front. And then we have different kinds of placement areas where we can scale the label down or scale it up, and also slide it to the right or the left area, as well as the top or the bottom part of this mapped area. And then we can already see, that is how that label would look like on a bottle. And we could easily play around with this and get an understanding on how that label could be on a wine bottle. And you could still change the materials here as well when you go back to that layer list and go to logo, and you want to have a different kind of color, maybe something, yeah, go with gold again, and then you see you could change that here on the bottle as well. So it doesn't matter what you do. You could do that beforehand, or you could just do it on the bottle as well. You can also change from a red wine bottle to a white wine bottle if you wanted to. So we do have here wine bottle white, for example, which takes a couple seconds, but you can see this one is also here presented with this as well. So, or wine bottle brown, for example. So there's different kinds of bottle types as well, which you can play around with. But yeah, so this is the basic idea of the Dream Composer and everything, what you can do with it, what you can do with metallization, embossings. So there's no great limitations in terms of what you can do with it. So it might not, every time it might not be feasible, like physically feasible. So you would need to talk this through with the people that are involved in creating this, but it gives the freedom of creativity. And usually we think, if you have that creativity, we will find a way to do that as well and produce that in real life as well. So that is basically the main idea here. Maybe a small little thing here as well. What is interesting down here is a little video camera icon where you could just easily play around with different kinds of view settings. So as you can see, these are the camera icons here, and you can just easily drag and drop, drag them around and drag them to a specific angle of your liking. Usually there's also, you can punch in the numbers here. The reason why we do that is giving you all the freedom that you need when you want to also have a different kind of label, but have it in the same position, exactly the same position, to also and then compare it. So you could either just create a new viewpoint where you want to view it, let's say like this, and when you press create a new camera preset, just give it a test, and when you say you want it global, so overall to all the projects, just press save or create, and every time you do something and you look at it and you want to go back to that viewing angle, you can just click at it, and then you are moved back to that position here as well. So that kind of, yeah, concludes the idea what you can do with it, and basically the options that you have with the Dream Composer and putting embellishment on it. So in these terms, I want to close this presentation now. I do have the possibility to read your questions if you have set up, if you found down here is like a little chat icon or a chat area where you can type in some questions. If you do have questions, please let me know. I can see them here on my screen, and I am definitely willing to answer them. Yeah, I'll just give you a couple of seconds and we will look if there's a couple of questions coming in. Maybe while we wait. So the Dream Composer, as I said, you can, if you want to check the program out, There is the possibility for you to trial it for 30 days. So you could either just contact me after this webinar if you want to check it out, or you go to dreamcomposer.de and scroll down to that area here. I can just go here, dreamcomposer.de. When you scroll down, you can request access, and then there will be a email that pops up at my on my end, and I will set up a trial for you to try it out. All right. So we do have a question. Can any user do it? So going back, yes, in my opinion, this is a program which is very intuitive. Of course, there are some areas which are similar when you are already used to Adobe products like Photoshop or Illustrator, for example. Then this would be something that is probably should be fairly similar or easy for you to use, but it's very easy to get to know the program. There's not many steps you need to do to also already see results. And since this is not something where you would design something rather than only visualizing your designs, makes it rather easy to use and for everybody to get into it without a very steep learning curve. That was also our intention, of course, to have the possibility for people to get easy access without learning a new program, because that can be cumbersome and sometimes not very very easy when you have to learn a new program. So get the entrance barrier very low in learning the program and getting into it. And this is also our objective for the future, since this is developed further, to keep it as intuitive as possible. Okay, I do see a couple more questions. I just need to pull them out here. Just 1 second. Is it possible to insert other bottle models instead of in addition to the included wine bottles, for example, a typical gin bottle? Yes, there will be. We are working. So currently, I have to say, currently it is not possible for everybody, but we are working on an option which will be available fairly soon, that people that use the program have the possibility to upload their own 3D objects. Of course, this is not as easy as it sounds, because, like I said, we want to leave that area of intuitiveness very low. So we need to find a way where we can do that easily. Let me see. There's a couple more questions here. Same questions with 3D shapes. I think I've already answered this. Can you upload your own Skype boxes, images in the background? Currently, this is not possible to have your own lighting situation set up. So that is something that we are thinking about, how we can solve that idea to give you or the user the most creativity, and also putting up the lighting environment. Trying to find a couple more questions here. Is it possible to embellish the front side and the back side of a cardboard? It is possible to, in a specific way, when you have when we go back here to the area label, then you're asked to have you can put a front and a back together. So you would have a card, maybe, for example, a birthday card or so, and then you would be able to have a front and back embellished. But in terms of this packaging that we've seen before, it is currently not possible to have a two-sided two-sided embellishment or put two sides on that area here as well. All right. Any special software or hardware needed? Like I said, this is something that is a web-based application, so you could easily just log in when you have login credentials and get it, and just go to dreamcomposer.de, press login, and then you just log in. For the hardware part, I do recommend to have a PC or a MacBook which has a dedicated graphics card. So this is something that usually helps with the graphics heavy visualization. So that usually helps. But if you have something that is not, let's say the hardware is not too good, then there of course could be that it's not very fast. But as I showed it before, there's the possibility to take down the quality of the rendering, and then you should see an improvement in performance here as well. All right. Another question here as well. Can I start my access from several computers? It is possible for you if you have only one account to switch computers. Definitely, you can just take if you log out from the other computer that you're using and go to the other one, then you're able to just easily switch around. If you, let's say you have a PC and you have a MacBook that you take around while you travel on the train or so, and then you can just log out of your PC and take your MacBook out and just log into that as well. So that kind of gives the possibility to change around the specific kind of PCs. Here we have a good question. If we change the foil position, can we get the data for ordering the hot stamping tools? Currently, this is not possible. So it's a very good question, because we do already think of options how we could help people with this. But currently, this is not possible to order tools from this specifically, but it also, like the Dream Composer currently helps to kind of get the idea started, and then you would need to contact your specific sales expert or expert in the specific field to kind of help you out and say, hey, I have a specific design, I want it to look like this, can we do something about this? And that kind of gets the conversation starting. So this is the current process, how we would do that. But we are thinking of options of how we could get this closer together, like in terms of ordering tools or ordering a specific design. So there we see that there is a need for this here as well. All right. Then I see, right. After the 30-day trial version, how much will it cost per month? So currently there's no monthly payment, but we are working on different kinds of pricing solutions here as well. So this is something I would recommend. If that is something that really interests you, just contact me. We can go through it in person and also get the details down. Currently, it's a yearly pricing model where you would have to pay a yearly fee for this, and also get more then the access to that specific to that software. So it's per license based. All right. Oh, there's another one coming in. Is it possible to define cutting areas within a surface? I'm not quite sure if I understand the question correctly, but after you have, like, usually when you're in the design, when you have the design part in Adobe Illustrator, for example, you would need to decide which kind of area you want to cut out. So everything what is like, you cannot change the cutting area and all the cutting design within Dream Composer, but as long as you define that within within Illustrator, you can draw specific cut files. So I think that kind of answers the question here as well. All right. I currently do not see any more questions currently. If you do have questions after this seminar or after this presentations, please don't hesitate. You can contact me anytime. I'll try to answer your questions. We can get in touch. And I know this maybe was a lot to also think about. So questions can come after this as well. And if you have any questions after this webinar, just contact me. I'll try to answer all those questions. And yeah, so if you want to try it out, like I said, go to dreamcomposer.de or contact me, and we can get you set up with a 30-day trial for this software. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening and checking out the program. I wish you a great rest of the day, and yeah, it would be nice to hear from you. Bye.